What would you do if someone you trusted with your deepest secrets confessed to murder? Today, we're diving into a case that proves even the most carefully planned crimes can unravel in the most unexpected ways. This is the story of Jennifer Gledhill, a Utah mother who thought she had committed the perfect murder until one phone call changed everything. It's a quiet September evening in 2024 in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. In an upscale neighborhood where million-dollar homes sit behind manicured lawns, something sinister is about to unfold behind closed doors. Jennifer Gledhill, a 42-year-old mother of three, is putting the finishing touches on what she believes will be the perfect crime. Her husband, Matthew Johnson, a decorated Green Beret with over a decade of military service, has no idea that the woman sleeping beside him has already decided his fate. This isn't your typical true crime story where we're left guessing about the perpetrator's identity. No, this case is chilling for an entirely different reason. Because Jennifer herself would eventually provide investigators with a detailed confession of exactly how she murdered her husband. And the way she did it? It's more calculated and cold-blooded than you might imagine. Matthew Johnson, 51 years old, wasn't just any soldier. He was part of the Utah National Guard's 19th Special Forces Group. We're talking about a Green Beret, someone his fellow servicemen described as brilliant, reliable, and the kind of person you could always count on. Jennifer appeared to be the perfect military wife, supportive, dedicated to her family, and what many described as a homebody who kept to herself. Together, they were raising three beautiful children, an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. From their neighbors' perspective, this was the American dream incarnate. A military hero, a devoted mother, 3 kids, and a gorgeous home in one of Utah's most desirable neighborhoods. But here's something I've learned covering true crime for years. The most perfect-looking families often harbor the darkest secrets, and the Johnson-Gledhill household was no exception. By July 2024, the facade was beginning to crumble. Court documents would later reveal that this marriage had been deteriorating for months, maybe even years. The couple had been discussing divorce. That part isn't unusual. What makes this case extraordinary is what happened when Jennifer tried to get legal protection from her husband. In August 2024, Jennifer filed for a temporary protective order against Matthew. Now, on paper, this might seem like a standard domestic dispute, but when District Commissioner Russell Minus examined her evidence, he discovered something shocking. The videos Jennifer submitted to support her case, they actually showed her as the aggressor. She appeared unafraid and was equally, if not more, confrontational than Matthew. But the text messages Jennifer had sent to her husband were what the commissioner called repeatedly berating, belittling, and demeaning. The judge went further, stating that these messages appeared to be deliberately designed to provoke Matthew into a violent response. Think about that for a moment. Jennifer was seemingly trying to bait her husband into doing something that would justify her protective order. On September 16th, just days before Matthew's death, Commissioner Minus dismissed the protective order entirely. His ruling contained words that now seem eerily prophetic. He described their relationship as a highly dysfunctional marriage bringing out the worst in both parties, and suggested they should have filed for divorce long before reaching this point. What the commissioner couldn't have known was that Jennifer had already decided divorce proceedings would never be necessary. Here's where our story takes a turn that even experienced true crime followers might not see coming. While Matthew was dealing with what he thought was just a troubled marriage, Jennifer was living an entirely different life. She was having an affair. This wasn't just a casual relationship or a momentary lapse in judgment. We're talking about an intense, consuming affair that had completely taken over Jennifer's emotional landscape. The man she was involved with would later become the key witness whose testimony would ultimately bring down her carefully constructed house of lies. Meanwhile, Matthew's friends noticed dramatic changes in his behavior during his final weeks. This decorated soldier, this man who had served his country with honor, was so concerned about his safety at home that he had started sleeping at the National Guard facility rather than in his own bed. Let that sink in for a moment. A Green Beret was afraid to sleep in his own home because of his wife's erratic behavior. Kevin Thompson, a retired Utah National Guardsman and Matthew's close friend, would later testify that Matthew had finally reached a breaking point. He had concluded that divorce was inevitable and it was time to move on with his life. But Matthew would never get that chance. September 19, 2024, 2 days before the murder. Jennifer does something that should have been a massive red flag to anyone paying attention. She shows her lover a loaded Glock 19X that she keeps in the house. At the time, he probably didn't think much of it. Military families often have firearms, right? It's not unusual, especially for a special forces soldier to have weapons in the home. But prosecutors would later argue that this moment was Jennifer testing the waters, perhaps seeing how her lover would react to the sight of the weapon she was planning to use. What makes this even more chilling is the methodical nature of Jennifer's planning. She had arranged for all 3 children to stay at her parents' house the night she intended to kill their father. She was systematically removing any potential witnesses from the scene. The stage was set for what Jennifer believed would be the perfect crime. September 20th started like any other day, but by evening, everything would change forever. Matthew had discovered the truth about Jennifer's affair. Witnesses reported hearing a heated argument between the couple that night. Years of marital problems and hidden resentments finally exploding into the open. According to Jennifer's own later confession, Matthew was yelling at her because he knew she'd been cheating. But here's what makes this case so disturbing. What happened next wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a moment of rage that spiraled out of control. It was cold, calculated murder. In the early morning hours of September 21st, 2024, as Matthew lay sleeping in their master bedroom, completely vulnerable and unaware of the danger he was in, Jennifer made a decision that would destroy multiple families forever. She took his own 9mm handgun and shot her husband in the head while he slept. Let me repeat that because I want you to understand the severity of what we're dealing with here. Jennifer Gledhill murdered her husband while he was sleeping. This wasn't self-defense. This wasn't a moment of panic. This was execution. But Jennifer's plan was just getting started. What Jennifer did next reveals the true extent of her planning and the depths of her callousness. According to her own confession, she put Matthew's body into a rooftop storage container and slid it down the stairs of their home before loading it into the back of their minivan. She then smashed his phone and drove his truck to a nearby neighborhood, abandoning it just blocks from their house to make it look like he had left on his own. Then, in what can only be described as a methodical cover-up operation, Jennifer drove north with her husband's body and buried him in a shallow grave at a location that remains unknown to this day. When she returned home, she began what investigators would later describe as an extensive cleanup operation. She bleached walls, used carpet cleaning supplies throughout the master bedroom, and ordered a new mattress to replace the blood-soaked one where Matthew had been killed. The new mattress arrived just 2 days later. Jennifer had literally slept on the evidence of her crime and then casually ordered a replacement like she was redecorating. But here's where Jennifer made the mistake that would ultimately lead to her downfall. On September 22nd, just before midnight, less than 24 hours after committing murder, Jennifer showed up at her lover's home and did something that would seal her fate forever. She confessed everything. Imagine being in that man's position. The woman you've been having an affair with shows up at your door and calmly explains how she murdered her husband, disposed of his body, and cleaned up the crime scene. The man noticed bruises on Jennifer's body, and when he asked about them, she casually explained that she had gotten them while burying her husband and cleaning the house of evidence. Her lover was terrified, and rightfully so. This woman he thought he knew had just confessed to cold-blooded murder with an almost casual demeanor that suggested she felt no remorse whatsoever. But Jennifer wasn't done talking. What happened next would provide investigators with some of the most chilling evidence in the case. Her lover was so disturbed by her confession that he decided to record their next phone conversation. When he told Jennifer that he was frightened by what she had told him, her response was absolutely bone-chilling. "Wow, if you think I could even hurt a fly. Like he's not a person. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt." The cold detachment in her voice was unmistakable. She had dehumanized her husband so completely that his death meant nothing to her. Here's where the timeline gets really interesting. Jennifer's confession to her lover happened before Matthew was officially reported missing. She was already referring to her husband in the past tense, even though no one else knew he was dead. 6 days after her confession, Jennifer finally called police to report Matthew missing. She told them that Matthew had said he would be gone for a week and told her not to call him. Meanwhile, the Utah National Guard had already begun searching for Matthew when he failed to report for duty on September 23rd. But unbeknownst to Jennifer, her lover had been collecting evidence against her. He had taken screenshots of their text messages and recorded their phone conversations. He was essentially building a case against the woman who had confessed murder to him. On October 2nd, 2024, he finally contacted police with information that would crack the case wide open. When Cottonwood Heights police executed a search warrant on the Gledhill home, they discovered a scene that told a completely different story than the one Jennifer had been telling authorities. In the master bedroom, investigators found a large blood-stained spot in the carpet underneath the bed. Blood was also found on the bed frame slats, which corroborated exactly what Jennifer had told her lover. The entire house reeked of bleach, and there were reddish-brown spots on the walls, bed frame, and blinds. Most tellingly, the mattress in the bedroom was brand new. Phone records showed that Jennifer had ordered it on September 24th, just 3 days after the murder, and it had been delivered 2 days later. This is where modern technology becomes a criminal's worst nightmare. GPS data from Jennifer's phone revealed her exact movements on September 21st and 22nd. The data showed her traveling to the location where Matthew's truck was found at around 6 a.m., and later tracking her journey north toward Davis County, exactly where she had claimed to have buried his body. It's almost like Jennifer had provided police with a digital roadmap of her crime. Every movement, every location, every timeline detail that she had confessed to her lover was corroborated by the data on her own phone. On October 2nd, 2024, armed with recorded confessions and overwhelming physical evidence, police arrested Jennifer Gledhill on charges of first-degree murder and obstruction of justice. But the investigation was far from over. On October 24, 2024, in a shocking development that proved this cover-up went beyond just Jennifer, her parents were arrested. Thomas Gledhill, 71, and Rosalie Gledhill, 67, were charged with 4 counts of obstruction of justice. Police discovered that the couple had spent over 5 hours at Jennifer's house in late September, despite initially claiming they were only there for less than an hour to pick up clothing. Investigators found that Rosalie had purchased the new mattress and had her phone remotely reset, losing all data about her whereabouts during the cleanup period. This wasn't an accident. This was a deliberate attempt to destroy evidence. But here's the moment that revealed just how deep this conspiracy went. When police questioned Thomas about the master bedroom and the alleged cleanup, he told them, "I did not go in where the incident happened." Think about those words, where the incident happened. He inadvertently revealed knowledge of a crime scene before anyone had told him there was one. During a search of the parents' home, police found a Glock 19X gun box wrapped in a child's onesie inside a plastic tote near Jennifer's bedroom. The container matched the description of the gun Jennifer had shown to her lover on September 19th. The family had tried to orchestrate the perfect cover-up, but their web of lies was quickly unraveling. Months have passed since Jennifer's arrest, but Matthew Johnson's body remains missing, and this is perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of the entire case. Extensive search efforts have covered multiple counties, extending from Davis and Weber counties all the way to Box Elder County near the Utah-Idaho border. Over 70 searchers have participated in ongoing efforts to find Matthew, including law enforcement, volunteers, and Matthew's own military friends who've organized their own search parties. John Hash, Matthew's fellow Green Beret who served with him for 12 years, expressed the frustration that everyone close to this case feels. Having had Jen in our home before, breaking bread with them, it turned out she's responsible for his death. It was shocking, frankly. Kevin Thompson, Matthew's friend, said that the fact that the search is now in its 5th month keeps them up at night. During recent court hearings, prosecutors revealed that a storage container had been found floating in water, and it contained Matthew's blood. This discovery provided additional physical evidence linking Jennifer to the crime, but Matthew's body still hasn't been recovered. Jennifer Gledhill has pleaded not guilty to all charges against her. She faces 1 count of first-degree murder, 5 counts of obstruction of justice, 1 count of possession of a controlled substance, 1 count of abuse or desecration of a human body, and 1 count of tampering with a witness. During her bail hearing, prosecutors argued that Jennifer posed a significant danger to the community and to the integrity of the investigation. They revealed that she had told her lover she would shoot herself before going to jail, demonstrating both her desperation and potential for further violence. The judge sided with prosecutors and denied Jennifer's request for bail, noting that she posed a risk to the community. She remains in custody at the Salt Lake County Jail. Adding another layer of complexity to the case is Matthew's $500,000 life insurance policy, with Jennifer named as the beneficiary. With Jennifer facing murder charges and Matthew's body still missing, the insurance company has asked the court to determine who should receive the money. Jennifer's trial is scheduled to begin on December 8th, 2025, and is expected to last 8 days. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this entire case is the 3 children who have lost both parents, one to murder and one to prison. These kids, ages 11, 7, and 5, will have to grow up knowing that their mother killed their father and then lied about it for weeks. Matthew Johnson's family has released a statement saying, "We are hopeful that we will find Matt soon, or that Jennifer or someone will come forward with the location of his body so we can properly lay him to rest." The prosecution's theory is straightforward, but chilling. Jennifer Gledhill killed her husband because he discovered her affair and she wanted to be free to pursue her relationship with her lover. Rather than go through a messy divorce that might have resulted in shared custody and financial obligations, she chose murder. But was it really that simple? Could someone really murder the father of their children just to avoid the inconvenience of divorce proceedings? As we await Jennifer Gledhill's trial in December 2025, one question haunts everyone involved in this case. How does a mother of 3 justify destroying so many lives for the sake of an affair? Perhaps we'll never fully understand the depths of Jennifer Gledhill's selfishness and cruelty. What we do know is that her actions have created wounds that will never fully heal. The recorded phone conversation where Jennifer dehumanized her husband reveals something truly terrifying about the human capacity for evil. When she said, "He's not a person," he wasn't a person anymore. She was describing how she had to mentally transform her husband into something less than human in order to kill him. This case reminds us that the most dangerous people are often those who appear most normal on the surface. Jennifer Gledhill was a military wife, a mother, someone who neighbors described as quiet and unremarkable. Yet she was capable of executing one of the most cold-blooded murders in recent Utah history. Justice may eventually be served, but Matthew Johnson will never come home to his children. And somewhere in northern Utah, a devoted father and soldier lies in an unmarked grave, waiting for someone to finally tell the truth about where he can be found. What do you think? Could Jennifer Gledhill have really believed she would get away with this murder? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this case as compelling and disturbing as I did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We cover cases like this every week, diving deep into the psychology and evidence behind some of the most shocking crimes in recent history. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll be covering another case that will leave you questioning everything you think you know about human nature. Until then, stay safe out there.